friends. This is Marina Shepelsky and my friend, psychiatric expert, nurse practitioner, Ina Revutsky.
How are you? Thank you for
Hi,
inviting
Ina. How
me.
are you?
Busy. It's been busy. I'm sure you've been busy.
Yeah, we've been working under the Trump administration already for the last 6 months. And today we wanted to discuss the current situation, how to prove extreme hardship for several immigration case types that everybody here needs. Number one, waivers. Definitely, we are here to talk about waivers, how to prove that your relative who is the citizen or green card holder, your family member, has something called extreme hardship. Meaning, what kind of problems do they have that they can't follow you to your home country and they need to stay in the US to take care of? This is VAWA. VAWA is your extreme trauma and your extreme hardship mental state when you've experienced a bad marriage with a green card holder or a citizen. It's cancellation of removal when you're here over 10 years and you have American family members who will suffer if you are deported. They won't be able to follow you. The family separation will be a big problem for you. And of course, finally, it's people who are filing for a T visa, T for trafficking, people who've been exploited in their jobs, that they experience extreme hardship because of this. And we are here to talk about, with an expert, how to prove extreme hardship. Let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
I'll ask you, Ina, first of all, who usually has to be like your patient and client when you do these evaluation reports for the case?
We usually do evaluations in extreme hardship on people who will experience hardship. So it's usually a US citizen who will experience an extreme emotional or medical or psychiatric stress if a family member was to be deported, or if this US citizen person, maybe like a child, like a high school kid or somebody younger, or maybe like an elderly parent, had to follow a person who is getting deported. So we are always doing an assessment on the person who is going to be claiming the hardship. Yes.
If we're talking about a waiver and you talk to a U.S. citizen spouse or U.S. citizen parent or U.S. citizen child, what kind of symptoms do they have to experience? Like, how do they have to feel? Because, mental health, you can't see it with your eyes. It's about how they feel. What kind of things do they have to feel to be able to claim extreme hardship? Give us some examples.
So first of all, I want to clarify that to be considered for an extreme hardship, it has to be like an extraordinary circumstance.
Out of the ordinary, like
Out of
more than
the
usual.
ordinary, like big deal, like not a little kind of a symptom. So if the person is experiencing, let's say, their spouse that needs to leave the country, they're not just going to miss them because that's stressful, but it's not extreme. It's not horrible. This person will not be able to function. Like I had a case where the husband was not allowed to come into the US because he came in too frequently, and an attorney asked me to do an extreme hardship. This person's wife, who was a US green card holder, she ended up, she had a job here, so he was traveling back and forth. She had so much stress and she had so much distress because she felt in her mind that she would never see her husband. Like she became suicidal. She would drive down on the highway and like plan how she would get into a car accident and end up dying by herself. That's an unhealthy way of being. This is not a little bit of stress. Oh, I miss you, honey. I'll see you in like 6 months or 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, oh my God, I'm going to die on the highway and I'm going to be alone. Or she had a really big difficulty functioning at work. Like she was crying all the time and she was a big time manager and she like would call out
Crying all the time,
crying all the
right?
time.
Afraid to like kill herself, like afraid she'll end up killing herself.
Right. Like not only like the depression has steps. There's mild depression and then there's moderate depression and then there's severe depression. So in
Mm.
extreme hardship cases, we are talking about very, very severe depression. You can't get out of bed. You're thinking your life is over. You're planning to end your life. That's like a psychiatric emergency. When you
Mm.
have a plan, you need to go see somebody in an emergency room. You need to just go in and like say, I'm planning to hurt myself, and they'll know what to do. These people are trained to do a screening and to treat someone. They're not going to label you as crazy. They're just going to make sure that you're safe. So in psychiatry, safety is a very, very big concern. We're always
Mm.
worrying if someone is going to hurt themselves, if someone is not only thinking, but maybe planning, maybe like
Mm.
already scratching themselves to release the anxiety. So these are all the severe symptoms. Somebody is not sleeping. You know, if our client is not sleeping for 4, 5, 6 weeks, that has a very bad influence on their well-being. They can't
Yeah, that makes them
work.
sick. Not sleeping makes you sick.
Yes. So
What
these are,
about
yeah.
when I just talked to a guy yesterday from Uzbekistan? He was telling me that his wife made him so upset, and the things she constantly told him. She was constantly throwing him out of the house. She's a citizen. He is not. That at some point he felt like his chest hurt. He couldn't breathe. He felt like he was having like a heart attack. He couldn't bring in air. He lay down on the floor. He couldn't move. He was afraid he was dying. What type of a thing is that? What is that?
That is just, I mean, of course I wasn't there to assess him,
Of
but
course.
if it passed and he talked to you today, then it wasn't a heart attack, because usually after a heart attack, people end up in the, in the hospital, and,
He
if they
went to the
survive.
hospital and they
He,
told him it's not a heart attack.
it's not. So this sounds like a panic attack. So,
He
and
had a
these things
panic attack.
this is very scary because it feels like you can't breathe, you're going to die. It's a very
That's what he
scary.
thought. He thought he was dying. And this is all because of the stress that his wife had put him through. So these are the kinds of things that when we work on a VAWA case, when we have to show this was a real marriage and he was abused, badly treated in this marriage, and he describes the symptoms of a panic attack. He thought he was dying from the stress. He mentioned his neck was so cramped, like it spasmed, that he couldn't move his head. He was scared even more. Do you think that that's something that can prove extreme hardship?
If you have an abusive situation where this constant stress, again, not little bit, a lot,
Mm-hmm.
creates a physical symptom that has you go to the emergency room, first of all, that's documentation. But a lot of my clients end up not going to the emergency rooms
Mm.
because they're afraid of being deported. They're
Yeah.
afraid that their American citizen is going to complain to police. They're afraid that the bills that they're going to get are expensive. So having this documented with a psychiatric provider actually is documentation. So you don't have to go to the emergency room. You can just communicate to a psychiatric provider symptoms that are difficult to deal with. Like
Mm-hmm.
what you're describing, panic attack, if you're not sleeping, if every time you're trying to go to sleep and your heart is racing, and you can't fall asleep, or if you're falling asleep and you wake up because you're like seeing nightmares. Some of our political asylum cases have nightmares. People are constantly seeing like scary dreams. They're running away or they're being dragged into jails. These are all the things that are documented in the psychiatric evaluations. I mean, some of these things need to be medically handled. If the symptom is very difficult, then I refer people out to their primary care doctor. Sometimes I refer to a therapist so people can deal with this trauma of what they've been through. So this is not, when we work with people, it's not like a simple conversation. We review the case, we make sure that there's enough detail, we ask specific questions so we could really document and reflect the immigration story in the way that the courts will understand.
Got it. So to wrap up everything that we discussed here, when you're trying to show extreme hardship, whether you're a lawyer and you are working on a waiver or a VAWA or T visa or asylum or cancellation of removal, when you show that your symptoms of being upset, not sleeping, feeling pain and physical symptoms from your mental health are so bad that like you're having trouble functioning, this is what's called extreme hardship. And you have to show this by talking to a doctor, getting a professional evaluation done. And she will put down the diagnosis. She will make sure that this goes to your lawyer, and your lawyer will send it in to USCIS, to the immigration judge, whoever has to see it for you to win. Even under Trump, this has not changed. You will submit it and you will win. Thank you for listening. We wanted to give you some really good examples today, how to practically tell whether you have extreme hardship or not. I'm Marina Shepelsky, immigration lawyer for over 22 years doing this kind of work. And this is my very good friend and constantly somebody we use, an expert for our cases, Ina Revutsky, psychiatric nurse practitioner, who you can find by checking out her website over here, nursingthemind.com. Thank you. Mwah.
Thank you. Good to see you. Take care.